So, pulled some cards for the week. I'm a little late because it's already Wednesday, but that's okay. So, Monday was sort of like looking at what you have in hand as if it's just dry, like empty, not worth it. You're really dissatisfied with it. Something that used to burn like a passion is now just fizzing, you know? That's it. Then funny is there are other people who are still curious and who still might want what you have, and they're still drawn to it and or you, or maybe they're just curious and looking at you because maybe you've also are presenting in a way that people don't have an idea what's going on, and that's very me. I don't know if you're like that, but people think, oh, I have it nice and easy, and I don't know, it's like they have this preconceived thing, but I just don't talk about a lot of things, you know? The ones who do know, oh my God, do they know? They know so much and they get it. But yeah, that's what Monday's energy was like. And even the background you can see is like dry. And you're just kind of like, I can't plant anything. There is nothing. And I get why, because when you look at card 2, or Tuesday, sorry, it's actually supposed to be flipped where this came first. But there's a reason for the second card too. Again, this kind of goes back to how people perceive you and stuff, right? But Tuesday is a mini victory for you for whatever reason. You know, again, maybe one of those people who saw you, approach you to talk to you, and you finally, and I call it a small victory to be able to say, look at me, like, I need help. Like, I am feeling dejected, depressed, whatever you're feeling. Definitely seek the help because you never know who can, you know. And they could either help you mentally and say like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. They can help you physically, you know, share the work, or get you to, you know, one of the cards later does say get you to go out and about, you know. Wednesday, which is today, thank God the cards get lighter and lighter during the week. This is definitely, excuse me for saying, but girl time. You know, this is very, I know it's kind of giving like a Two of Cups for lovers vibes for this Four of Wands, but this is sort of like recognizing that you do have a solid foundation, being able to run for it with joy, but also to look back with joy. So again, it goes back to card 2, and this is you doing it with someone, not by yourself, not having to, you know, again, like these are sort of like you having to do things by yourself, even though you get acknowledged and you get seen. This is with someone, not just for the people or for others, you know. Like you get to enjoy the joy too. You get to celebrate. You get to feel the positive and not just the despair. And from there, I love that Thursdays is the Page of Swords because you're again daring to speak after so long of just doing and doing and doing, and you're daring to have new ideas, and you're daring to have like sort of going back to when you were fresh and when you weren't jaded and when things were more innocent, quote unquote, and when it felt safe to just play, and it felt safe to just have an audience of 1 versus 10 or 100 or whatever it was. And for that person to just observe and not judge. And for that person to maybe even give you good advice that you could take versus like it comes off as criticism. And where you felt light. That's like the most important things. Because these 2 cards is very like you're getting back to the essence of a you that was more free, more open, more all the good stuff. And Friday is chillax day, man. Like, you get to enjoy all that has been done this week, and it's fertile. Like, look at the contrast of Monday to Friday. Like, a lot has happened this week. Like, even what I've said sounds light, but it's huge. It's huge for you. Everything, because you first is the mental part, because again, you were coming from this disheveled, like I said, that was your Tuesday. And now you're sitting there, you're not like you already had your talk and your recognition and your work and all that. And now you get to just sit there and you can sit out openly without feeling worried or attacked or any of that. And you can sit like, I don't know if you did this. I did this morning and I looked at my finances and I was worried because, like, for instance, I've been thinking, like, what if I just quit? And it scares me. It scares me because the economy sounds so bad with some people who have been there unemployed 6 months, And like I said, like the first card was a drought, and this card is actually showing abundance. And then I thought, like, how long is it gonna take? Because okay, you see that castle, it's pretty far away. But then it's his castle, and he chose to walk through all this. So he has all this land, all this resource. And so I looked at my money and I went, holy moly, actually I do have more than I thought. Granted that most of it is, in my retirement savings, but also even in my current, I'm doing better than most people. I'm just scared to touch it. So I have the leeway, the runway, whatever you want to call it, if I wanted to, for my own mental health. Having said that, also astrologically, I've been looking at the past, like this year and last year, and it definitely is an indicator for me to save. And you notice he's holding that money. And how do I want to say this? Like, yes, I came from a life where I was saving like crazy. Even $500 a month was like so hard, but so good back then. Like, this is when, I'm making minimum wage. I'm making my car payments. The car payment frees up, and I realize, oh my gosh, I have this extra 500 to save, to invest. And from then, that's how my retirement grew, because yes, I had current savings to make sure I covered 3 months of emergency and then 6 months of emergency and then so forth, right? But also I was kind of like, I need this thing to compound, and the SP 500, for instance, is my best bet at like averaging 10%. And this is not financial advice, so don't follow me on that aspect. And it does take a decade or two or however long, but it's so worth it in the end, Like, all the people who are like, oh my God, I need a raise. Give me a raise because, like, why do you think I work? And you should pay my rent, And that's kind of, it's always sounded crazy for me when people think that it's the company's job to take care of your personal finances. It's your own job to take care of your own personal finances. And there are financial advices, there are classes, some are free, even if that's what you're looking for, go look into that. And maybe that's what you'll do on Friday too, kind of where you're like, okay, now that I've wound down from work, let me see what I can do to invest in my future. Whether that's learning something that earns me more money, or learning something that gets me out of what I'm doing now into something better, or again, learning to invest so that you're making the money work for you and not you working for the money. Because all of us are like, oh my God, I only got 3% raise. Oh my God, I only got 5%. Like, I'm expecting a cost of living adjustment of 8 to 10%. But yet so many people leave money on the table. Like, some companies match your retirement, your 401k, your 403, your Roth, your IRA, whatever it's called in your company. And they're like, that 3%, like, I don't have 3% to invest. But if you have the 3%, your company's giving you 3, it's really 6%. Think about that. You just doubled your money. And if again, in theory, in the long run, your retirement averages 10% a year, isn't that already more than the 3% you weren't wanting to invest? Isn't that more than the 3% that you're getting as a raise? Like, think long term, and think about it calmly. And that's what I love about the second half of the week. And I'm glad I pulled this because I wasn't going to, and I'm glad I did, is you get more calm. That's like the biggest resource, is like that peace of mind, you know? But also, yeah, I get it. You need money to feel secure. So maybe, again, Friday you touch on that. And the overall theme of this week, the message is, again, there's 2 cards, or a second card under. I didn't even realize that. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, that gives an extra layer. One is realizing we all have a purpose here, and we all have the resource we need to live our purpose. It may take a while of climbing this ladder. Maybe you climb something, you realize it's not for you, you come back down, you plant something else, you dream something else, you go through the phases, if it is something you're going through, and you, I posted this on my TikTok, where I had a vision of a seed packet, but it grew an instant bouquet. And I thought, that's so lovely. Like, dude, that's all I want. I just want the good stuff, and I want it now. I want it full bloom. I want it all that. And then I realized, okay, what everyone says is true. Like, you want to experience the growth. You want to learn. You want to, there's a lot that's in there that's, packed in the seeding, the sowing, the prepping, the planting, the waiting, all that stuff. Even though I at the moment hate my current situation, and that's what's been tough for me, is there's so much hate that I'm missing out on all this other stuff. And everything leads back to, there's a time, there's a place, there's a season, there's a rhyme, there's a reason. And I've been in my bubble, and sometimes you need that. You need that little reset, and sometimes you need a bubble bath even, but sometimes you need to reach out. And it's funny that here you're kind of like, I don't want what I have right now, and the bees want it, so stupid bees. But here you're reaching out to the bees and realizing they're wise. They see something in this branch that you're not seeing. They've been around for so long, and they naturally know what will nurture, and the queen and the colony, they know the seasons. They just, and they are hard worker. They do buzz. We do buzz ourselves. We make a lot of noise ourselves, especially when we're complaining. And here she's reaching out, and she's kind of tiptoeing, floating, and there's other things that she can reach out to. But she's reaching out to the very thing, to really understand her own situation, and why and how to fill her cup. And so that she doesn't see things in the only negative. There's both. There's negative and there's light. We need to know and experience both. And part of what's cool is underneath here. Now to go for this. There's being angry doing work for your company and feeling like you're not rewarded, you're not seen, people take credit, or it's just too effing hard, this kind of thing. And then there's stuff outside of work, outside of company work. There's building your family, there's building friends, there's building your knowledge, there's building your own resources, including your own land. Maybe you build your own little shed to start. Maybe you build your own little side business.